Hey, coming up on today's podcast, guys, we got a wide array of special segments. Starting off, we're going to be talking a little bit about Stellantis, which we haven't talked about in a little while. They've got a little merger happening that might help them spread their wings a little further. Yeah? What do you think about that, Keith?
Is this a car show? Because if it's a car show, you know me, I brought my paranormal story.
Oh boy. No, it's actually a parts counter show.
Oh, so, no. I heard somebody told me it was just a car show.
Yeah, conversations across the counter.
What else, man?
So, well, you know what? GM continues to make headlines with their push for the ultimate all-battery electric vehicle. So we got a little news on something happening there out in the desert.
All right, and on a segment that I like to call "Nuh-uh," we got more Lordstown's back in the headlines. We'll tell you about that.
Oh boy! And Subaru has made the list. Here we go, guys. So that's all coming up on today's show. Hey, everybody, welcome into the Counter Show, the podcast of the century. We are the best in the name of podcasting. We are the Parts Counter Gurus, the Counter Show. Welcome in, guys. Keith, how are you, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I don't know. Was that Moses? Was that Moses up on the mountain with the tablets?
I felt like you needed some, thunder after that.
Yeah.
That intro.
That was epic. No, man, just excited. It's been a while since we've gotten together and podcast. It's been a few weeks. We've been kind of busy preparing for the summer. We got our 100th episode coming up soon. You guys, please stay tuned to that. And in order to get that, make sure you subscribe to our podcast platforms out there, whichever one you desire. It could be Spotify, it could be Stitcher, could be Apple Podcasts, could be Google Podcasts. You name it, you got it. We're there. We are on it. So you got to go to partscounterguru.com. And there's podcast links there. And you want to follow us on social media, go to facebook.com/partscountergurus. Go to instagram.com/the Parts Counter Gurus. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we do splash a lot of information across that as well. We tweet. And that would be twitter.com/@the-counter-show, which is what you're listening to. How was that?
And man, are you on drugs?
I'm trying to be.
It's great. It's great.
They won't give me any.
You're enthusiastic today.
No, I am. I'm really, honestly, I feel good. I just finished my workout, and I'm all showered up and clean and ready to go, man. So I feel good, getting the old blood pumping. My old age, man, I have to have some blood flowing. So it helps with the circulation and the cold feet and hands,
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not going there. Okay.
How have you been, dude?
I've been fine.
Okay.
Just got all this, strategic planning that we're doing for.
You got some strategery going on?
Well, we're busy over here at PCG, planning committee, and it's just a lot. Jay's right, everybody. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because there's a lot of cool stuff coming up.
There's a lot of cool stuff happening, man. A lot of cool stuff going on. Yes, and it is the summer, so we all like to get out and camp. Which, by the way, you knew this. My wife and I took a trip over the most northern pass of the Cascade Mountain chain here in Washington State. And it was finally opened after months of being closed due to the heavy snowfall. And yeah, it was interesting, man. So you go from, ocean and islands, and And then, within an hour, you're in the Cascade Foothills, and then within 2 hours, you're at the at Washington Pass, which is over 5,000 feet. There's snow tunnels up there where they've removed all the snow. You got to drive through all that, and the temperature drops a good 15 to 20 degrees up there. But it was beautiful. The one thing that I make notice of at some of the national park pullouts, where you can just get off, and they've got little restrooms and stuff, and nice parking areas, and little lookouts and stuff at nice spots. There were EV charging stations, Keith.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
So, I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's I hadn't seen that because I hadn't driven through a national park in a while. And so there are, for those of you who have EVs that haven't, wanted to venture that far out, there's, places to charge those things more and more. And it's a good thing because we're about to get into a few topics of EVs that are relevant to that.
So I just want to recap. So you basically went from... Does that about cover it?
That just about covers it, man.
Okay, all right.
Well, there's no train wreck in there, man. There's got to be a train wreck here somewhere.
I left it out. I didn't want to,
Get that?
Yeah. See, there you go. Okay.
Gotcha. So what are we getting into, man? Let's go ahead and start. Let's. We're. By the way, folks, these are conversations across a parts counter. We're having fun, and these are the sorts of things that you listen to over a auto parts counter. It's mixed in with some car talk. So just be prepared for some weird, strange stuff that might come out of this.
As we continue to experience some pretty incredible growth on all our channels, by the way, thank you, everybody. So we get some of these kind of interesting comments where it's like, you guys need to give me some engineering results on blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well,
yeah, gotcha.
Not really. We just don't sit here and talk cars 24/7. So, okay.
Right. Keith and I do. We do. We do.
We'll get into there's actually a story tied to that coming up. But
yeah. Okay.
So Stellantis in the news. We are going to talk cars here to start things
and train
off.
wrecks. Okay.
Yeah. And now this has been kicked around for several years, but Stellantis has officially announced a partnership with Foxconn. Now, for those of you that don't know who Foxconn is, they are an electronics manufacturer. They have a huge partnership with Apple. They tend to make chipsets, motherboards, processing components, that sort of stuff. And they built a facility in, was it Michigan or
Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. Okay.
Yeah,
I knew it was
Wisconsin.
Kind of Great Lakes area.
Yeah.
And this was a few years back, and it's been sitting dormant for a while. So they made this huge commitment to come here and basically do some of their manufacturing on the United States soil.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a huge LCD factory.
Yeah.
In Mount Pleasant. Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and it never really took off. But interestingly enough, and you got to remember, like, Foxconn's not new to the game. They've been in this game for a while, and they're partnered with some major players like Apple. So as we previously reported, and we thought this was interesting for a lot of reasons, there is an automotive Fisker, announced a partnership with Foxconn, and we thought, well, isn't that interesting? You've got an EV manufacturer using basically a chipset manufacturer as their production facility to build cars. So if that doesn't tell you kind of the direction that vehicle manufacturing is headed, I don't know what does. Well, then we get this news, Jay, which you want to go ahead with this?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 joint venture known as Mobile Drive. It brings together Foxconn's, huge, presence in mobile software and consumer electronics, and they're partnering with Stellantis, vehicle design and engineering. They're basically wanting to create that user experience just like everybody else is doing. And I think the whole reason that Stellantis needs to spread their wings a little bit. They haven't had, and when we say Stellantis, we're talking Chrysler, Jeep, all the names that you're familiar with here in the U.S. And there's a few others in there, Renault, and isn't Renault part of this as well?
I think so. Fiat,
and, it was formerly FCA. And so it's going to allow these guys to expand its brands into China, a little bit into Asia, and so that's what's going on. So they're going to be developing smart cockpit solutions for Stellantis brands, and the plan is to sell the technology to other car makers. That's what I'm hearing. So that's about all I know at this point.
Well, now
factually,
let's talk for just a minute about did you use the word strategery earlier?
Strategery, yeah.
Yeah.
So who made that one famous?
Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna. Okay, so moving on.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
Wait.
Oh, that's the other one. Yeah.
Dana Carvey. Oh no, I see. I got it. No, it was Will Ferrell. Yeah. Will Ferrell, right? Yeah.
He was.
He played the president.
That was his dad.
But I digress. Okay.
Dana. Yeah.
So we one thing that we have learned over the years we've been doing this is stay out of politics. So Anyway, now you've got some experience in manufacturing in the automotive industry.
I do.
When, and not just Stellantis, but Ford, GM, any of the major manufacturers, if you want to go like European, Volkswagen, whoever, BMW, how they are responsible by and large up until now for the design for the majority of the components that go in that vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And I think the problem that you have as you get more and more technology into these vehicles, and certainly these EVs are the most technologically capable vehicles that we've ever made. You have to, if you're gonna, you have to make a choice. Am I going to continue to be the sole developer of all the components in that vehicle? But if the answer is yes, you don't have the technical expertise to build software and operating systems.
That's right.
See, almost 2 decades ago now, Ford partnered with Microsoft in their first version of Sync.
Right.
And they just made what?
Yeah, exactly. And they now did that went by the wayside, right? Because didn't they just partner with Ford? Just partnered.
Yeah,
we podcasted about this.
Contracts come and go, right?
But they admitted the admittance of, hey, we want to focus on the vehicle. We don't want to focus on the technology inside the cockpit because we're not good at that. So we're going to partner with somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
To help us move that chess piece a little further across the board.
And that isn't anything new. I mean, for years and years and years, none of these manufacturers that we're talking about have made their own, what we used to call head units. Now they're infotainment systems, but it's the same thing. Like you would buy a GM. Well, the radio wouldn't be manufactured by GM. It would be Delphi, or it would be, if it was a Ford, it would be.
Well, kind of like those Fender speakers that were in the, the Nissan Frontier.
Yeah. So Jay's calling out. I got called out in a quick little.
Hey man,
Frontier
can you crawl up under the dash, man, and hotwire that thing and drive it out of there for us?
And there was some commenter, and he was extremely put out that I drew attention to Fender branding speakers in a Frontier, and the guy was like, basically that I should know my facts and I should be ashamed of myself for not knowing that, that they did the same thing on the Titan. Okay, well, Mr. Smart Guy, here's a little, here back at you, bud. In previous generations of the Frontier, they were Rockford Fosgates.
That's right.
Also, Fender doesn't make speakers, bozo.
Right.
They don't. VW uses some of those Fender speakers in their vehicles too. They're made by Panasonic.
Yeah.
So Fender's just a brand marketing thing, and that's what I was actually trying to point out in the video, jackass. Hey, by the way, make sure you give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and check us out over on YouTube.
I love it. Hey, man, don't stick it out there. We're going to slap it. I'm just telling you.
Now, look, I'm not perfect. I get stuff wrong all the time. But come on, man. I'm just trying to give you guys a quick look inside of
don't be. Hey, guys, you comment all you want. We don't care. We just have fun with it. But just be tasteful about it. Just, come on.
So,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is probably a smart move from Stellantis' perspective because... I
think so.
It helps them get ramped up to producing more technologically capable vehicles more quickly, if that makes sense.
Right. It does. What it also does is it gives them an opportunity to get on board with the EV side as well, because I think that Foxconn is going to be heavily into that as well, or they're already producing like a EV platform, correct?
Yeah,
in Taiwan or
China?
Well,
for Fisker. And as of today, and we're not saying, there's a lot to be disclosed this year, but as of today, Stellantis is a little bit behind in that EV race. I mean,
that's right.
Both GM and Ford have stuff that's either out right now or about to be out. And Stellantis has made some announcements in that direction, but they're still in the prototyping phase as far as we know.
Right.
So, I mean, they've got a Jeep that's a hybrid Jeep that's plug-in coming out this year, but it's not really an EV, and we've talked about that. We won't go back into it. Just go hit our website at partscounterguru.com, and you can subscribe to the podcast, and you'll find out what we had to say about the Jeep. I think it was called Jeeps and Chips.
Jeeps and Chips, yeah, that's it, man. So, and if you like the video segments, you're going to watch the video. We'll do video segments out there. You want to go to youtube.com/partscountergurus, and make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as click that bell so you get notified whenever videos are released. And we do release quite a few videos weekly. We're probably anywhere between 3 and 5 a week. Regularly, we more times we'll release 5 than we release 3. So just stay tuned, because it is a wide array of content. So enjoy yourselves, people. Just go there, just grab that popcorn and watch to your heart's content. Yes. Okay. So enough of those guys.
All right. Time to get into something that I'm telling you, there could not be a more automotive-centric topic than this one right here. I mean, this is all... This is it. This is nothing but car talk 24/7 right here on the Car Show. Isn't that what we're calling?
This is it.
No, wait. No, wait. What's the parts counter? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, do you believe?
Yeah, so I just couldn't... I know. It's everybody loves a good conspiracy story, and the paranormal element in this just... I couldn't look away. So, yeah.
Go there. Okay. Go there, man. Go.
And so what we will do here is we'll post a link where you can watch the video if you want to check it out on your own. You gotta listen to the audio because there's some interviews, but this was released by 60 Minutes, like that. Yes. 60 Minutes. So this wasn't Area 51 InsiderScoop.com.
No.
Or, what? This was 60 Minutes. Okay.
Right. This is a big deal.
They sat down a couple Navy fighter jet pilots.
That's right. It was Commander David Fravor, who was commander of the USS Nimitz, and his partner, pilot Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich.
Yeah.
Sat down for an interview with 60 Minutes about this. It's crazy, man. You have to watch it, guys.
Yeah. Now they actually both had radar operators. And for those of you who don't know who that is, if you've seen Top Gun, think Goose in the back seat, right? Okay.
Right, exactly.
And so there was four people with eyes on this total. And they described it as a tic tac, but the crazy thing was, and they go into this in the interview, they didn't come out and say these are necessarily aliens. Like, it's not like, this is from another planet. They were kind of leaning toward the direction of somebody has more advanced propulsion technology than we do. They're getting around in the air faster.
Absolutely. And what blew me away about the whole subject matter is that, they both were pretty adamant about saying, hey, if this was not unclassified information, we would have probably never said anything about it. But it is unclassified. So they put the story out there. This experience happened to them. And what I found interesting, they both described this, what they called a tic tac, as when they were looking at it, they noticed that it was about the size of their F-18 that they were flying. It had no markings on it. It didn't appear to have like any wings or anything. It was just this object that could make moves that absolutely made no sense at speeds that absolutely made no sense to them. And we're talking experienced, long-time naval aviators, people who have been in the skies for a long time. And they've probably seen just about every aircraft out there.
Yeah, and they're looking at each other going, honestly, in this interview, like, if I would have seen this by myself, I'm not telling anybody.
I'm not saying anything.
Right?
I'm not saying anything.
Because that's just not, yeah.
So this is not the first. I mean, there were several other accounts that before leading up to this story that have kind of filtered into the news. And I had just a casual conversation with a few friends because I live very near a naval air station.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I live near Area 51. Okay, yeah, I digress.
Well, that's not that far, really. But I talked to them because these guys are naval pilots, and they're retired. And I asked the question, you guys ever see anything weird up there? And they're like, never would say anything. And I'm like, well, why is that? They'll classify you as crazy.
Yeah.
You might not be able to fly anymore. So this is how hush-hush it is, because these folks are in fear of potentially losing a career of flying because they see something that they cannot identify. Now, the military, however, looks into recordings and data that they gather over years. Now, the military used to look into this, but the book was closed on it back in 1969. It was called Project Blue Book. But now, as recent as I think in the early 2000s, like 2004, there were so many accounts that that started kind of leaking out. The military kind of had to declassify these things and let the public, to know what they have been seeing and just giving the world the information that they have. Now, doesn't mean that it's an alien craft, but it's something that they can't identify. There's
a difference from unidentified between that and alien, right?
Correct. And that's what I find very intriguing is what
and you got to think about it. I mean, if you want to go deep conspiracy theory, I guess you can here. But if you're the U.S. government and you're sending a crew out to investigate, that means it's probably not yours, right? I mean,
right. I've said this before. I've seen things that I cannot explain. I can't
weird.
Too,
but it's usually like people double parking and leaving shopping carts in the middle of the lot.
That's bozo magnetism.
Yeah, all right. But you're talking about actual paranormal stuff.
Oh yeah, weird stuff, man. I mean, stuff that I can't explain. But Keith, why don't you tell everyone what the commander basically said as they were closing the interview?
I'm trying to remember.
I have it if you want me to.
Okay, well, here, let's tease that for just a second. But before we get to that, what was interesting to me was they lost sight of it. And then very quickly, like I want to say within a period of seconds, they picked it up on other monitoring equipment 60 miles away.
60 miles away. That was crazy.
Like, within moments. Okay. And then it disappeared. So,
which coincides with his description of how quickly it moved.
Right. So,
and then we're talking gaining altitude and then lateral movements that
horizontal
were unexplainable.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll put a link to the video in the comments. Everybody be sure to check that out. Make sure you, in the meantime, click our bell to be notified of other stories, including automotive-based stories, which is kind of what we're known for. And
great people.
And check out our website, partscounterguru.com, for the podcast. Now, the end of the interview. Go ahead, Jay.
Basically, the commander says, I don't know who's building it, who's got the technology, who's got the brains, but there is something out there that was better than our airplane. And that right there, my friends, tells you that this is something that a guy is basically telling you. There is some technology that's going on this planet that we don't know about. He doesn't know about it.
So it could potentially, if it's weaponized, be superior from a military perspective.
That is correct, and that's concerning.
Yeah,
that's concerning. So
you think they're making these in that Foxconn factory there in Wisconsin?
Yeah,
it could be, right?
Right, it's the new EV, man. Yeah. Extraterrestrial vehicle. Did I just invent something?
You could have. It wouldn't be the first time on the show.
Yeah. Right on. Whew. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So what are we getting into now there, Keith? We got some great stuff. Do we want to talk about what GM's got going on?
Let's do GM for a minute. This is interesting on a couple levels. I
think it's pretty cool.
Well, yeah. So go ahead.
Well, GM, they like to make the news quite a bit, but they have come up with basically an experience for their. Okay, let me back up a little bit. GM has committed by 2030 to have, or 2025, to have 30 EVs globally. Okay, 30 all electric vehicles globally. And of course, you know about the Ultium battery platform. That's their baby. They've now introduced what they call Ultium Charge 360. So basically what this does is it gives their EV customers the ultimate experience when using their product from the recharging standpoint or charging standpoint. It basically simplifies and improves the at-home charging experience and the public charging experience, whether it's community-based or road trip charging. Couple of points. You get access to charging. GM will continue to work with a variety of third parties, by the way, including charge point operators, electric utilities, and government agencies to make home, workplace, public, and fleet charging ubiquitous for customers. You'll get a mobile app. Mobile app will continue to update their mobile apps, is what GM says, to provide even more intuitive mobile experience that makes navigating to a charging station, plugging into a charger, and paying for charging very simple. Some of the products and services, the transition to an EV, they want it to be seamless. GM's working to offer EV owners charging accessories. This is big, and installation services tailored to their lifestyle. For example, GM will cover standard installation of level 2 charging capability for eligible customers who purchase or lease a 2022 Bolt EUV or a Bolt EV in collaboration with Qmerit. Now, you probably know a little bit more about Qmerit. I don't.
Yeah.
What's their story?
Well, let me try to simplify this, because that press release was a lot of, like, just you walking into a library and there's just books all over the floor. There's a lot of information in it.
There is.
So we'll get to that in just a second. Here's basically the challenge that they're trying to solve. Not all EVs charge the same. Okay, depends on the manufacturer. Depends on how they want to deliver power at what rate. The stuff you have at home, for example, could charge at a faster or slower rate than some of the public stuff or the commercial stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of these cars come with adapters where you can use 110 and it's going to be at a slower rate, and on and on. And so
right.
What GM's basically trying to do here is two things. They're trying to help you find charging stations, and that's where the app comes into play, as well as being able to pay. They
can find the one that's up there in the mountains, man.
Right. Which we opened this podcast with, and you talked about running into some of these rest areas or pull-offs or government-run facilities that have charging stations. Mm-hmm. And number two, when you find a charging station, to make sure that it's compatible with whatever vehicle brand of EV you have. See, don't just assume that you can go out and buy a Ford Mach-E or a Bolt EUV or whatever, or a Cadillac Lyriq, and you're going to be able to pull into a Tesla charger and it'll work. Now, Blink, who is one of the partners listed in this press release, we've used. In fact, when Sideshot and I did a video review of the Model 3 of the Tesla, we just randomly pulled up to a couple charging stations around town just to see if they would work. And, the Tesla, they gave you some adapters in the trunk and all that. The vehicle has to be smart enough to know what rate of charge it can use based on what is coming into it, what's plugged into it. So basically, this announcement is GM trying to reassure everyone that you're going to be able to charge your vehicle, and it's going to be easy to find a place to charge it that will work with your vehicle.
Exactly. And that they need to have that comfort. I mean, at the end of the day, that was a pretty bold move by GM to say, hey, we're no longer going to make gasoline engines, and we're going in on all EVs, and the fact that they're committed to 30 EVs by 2025, and that's just around the corner. That's not that far away. So you do have to have somewhat of a infrastructure for your consumer in place already, some way to make them feel good about their purchase, that they're not going to have an issue plugging in somewhere and getting this vehicle charged up. Now, recently, in another podcast, there was it Jeep announced that they were partnering with Amazon for the charging. You can buy it on Amazon. I don't think they were selling it with the vehicle, but they were making it easier for their customers on the 4xe platform.
Yeah.
To plug in. So same thing here.
And ultimately, it really comes down to trip planning. Because, if you buy one of these EVs, you're going to drive it to work. Your daily routines and your weekly routines that don't change that much, well, you're going to know where you can charge it, whether it's at home or at the grocery store, whatever. But it's when you deviate from those routines, right? You go see grandma or whatever, right? You gotta, take a trip. You got to plan for that. So just to wrap this up, the partners that GM has announced that they are going to be working with, and some of these you'll see as brand names on some of the charging stations in your neighborhoods today. Blink, which is one that we have here, ChargePoint, EV Connect, EV Go, Flow, FLO, for those of you not familiar with that. Greenlots, sorry, I'm not familiar with that one, and SEMA Connect. So those are the ones. Those are the 7 right now that they have announced that they're gonna partner with. So there you go.
Awesome.
And as far as the timeline on this, they're talking that they're going to have approximately 500 fast charging stations by the end of this year, by the end of 2021. Now that's rapid charge.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man. I'm excited for GM. Hope this works out for them. I hope this will definitely enhance the customer experience for them, and obviously help them achieve their ultimate goal, which is to be completely carbon neutral by 2035, 2040, something like that.
Yep.
So we'll see. So there you go. All right. What else, man? What? Gosh, we just have so many things that we want to talk about. You got some stories you want to?
Oh yeah, sure. We can do a little.
You want to do a little Jay and little
sure.
Keith and Jay experiences? Jay and Keith. Where'd they meet? At the shop.
I think you're having a little bit too much fun with that one. All right, so
I dig it, man. I mean, it makes me want to. I feel like writing game show jingles or something.
Yeah,
man, so.
Well, it has the desired outcome.
It does.
This is not a big deal to you and I, Jay, because we know this so intimately, and we're like, oh, well, it's kind of. But I just thought it might be interesting to talk to everybody for just a minute about explaining why this whole thing that we do now, Parts Counter Gurus, is for how it came to be and sort of why it came to be,
and how. Yeah. Just amazing.
So, and you may learn something along the way here too. I don't know how much of this.
I'm sure I always learn something, Keith. You know that. I'm eyes wide open, brother.
So, we did not. We did so. Many of you know that we used to work together, like for a company in the automotive industry, and that's where we met. And that part's kind of widely known. But maybe what's not so common knowledge is we didn't move to kind of start doing what we're doing today for many years after that.
Right.
And there was this kind of recurring theme. Jay and I would talk, and then we would have just sort of regular phone conversations. Occasionally we would go to lunch. We've mentioned that in the past when he still lived in the same town that I do. And then he moved away. Like halfway across the country, I guess. Like 4 years ago now? Something like that? 5 years ago?
It'll be almost 5 years, yeah.
All right. And so about a year, year or two after you moved, we kind of got this thing going. But we would have these conversations, and I would just, like, sometimes I would call Jay and I would go, hey, can you look up, like, I need some automotive research, and he had access to a lot of that, and I was, trying to solve a problem, or, I'd call him up and I'd go, hey, I got this, RV thing that I'm trying to fix or whatever, and we'd talk, or would he just talk like new car research and stuff like that, and we'd get into these conversations. Yes,
but let me just say this, and I think that everybody can relate to this. I may not have all the answers, so never be afraid to take that call from someone that might be looking for a little help. Sometimes people need someone else to walk through things and talk through things to go, and it raises ideas. It's kind of a brainstorming effort, if you will. So there you go. Sorry, I just wanted to...
Yeah, so... and some of it, that was the case where I would just, it would be... am I doing this right, kind of thing, because I don't...
Looking for some support, reassurance.
Believe it or not, I don't trust everything I read on the internet.
Nor should you.
So we would have these conversations, and it would always end up going somewhere, like, interesting, but never really what the original intent of the call was or the question. And I just always remember saying, we should be recording these. I just felt like... we were in the early days of podcasting, and, I had some favorites that I would listen to, but at the time there weren't a whole lot of people or anyone really doing an interesting podcast that was centered around kind of gearhead topics, like, automotive based kind of stuff.
Right.
And so I just remember going, well, if it's interesting to me and it's interesting to Jay, there's probably some other people out there that it would be interesting to also. And I've never really felt like I want people to care what I think or have to say, but I just sort of felt like I know there's a lot of people like us, and we gravitate towards those people, and I'm sure that other people would enjoy getting in on this conversation too.
Sure, all of our tens of fans. Yeah.
at that time, yeah. And I don't know. I just
and our wives.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was the other thing, is it was therapeutic, because then it was like, well, my wife doesn't have to listen to me all the time.
Right.
I have somebody else to talk to about this, and my wife can. This is why I joke that, like, this is my other wife, because then it sort of takes the burden off the real one.
It truly is. Yeah.
And so it just sort of became, let's just, if somebody wants to pay me to talk, okay. I mean, sure, there's worse things and offer opinions and, throw interesting things out there. Not a bad gig, right?
Right.
And, to be honest, and Jay can certainly relate to this, these things are a lot of work. They are way more work than anybody, unless you've done them, than you think. I mean, it's a lot of work,
but I remember early on, what did I say? The minute that it starts feeling like work, I don't want to do it anymore. Well, there's a lot of work that goes into it. We're putting a lot of hours, a lot of research in it, and continuing to develop our show. And with that comes you look at the fruits of your labor starting to kind of generate, more interest in people, and your subscribers start to grow exponentially, and you start looking at the library of videos that we have over on YouTube now at youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Hit that subscribe button, guys. What you look at that, and it's like, wow, I want to do more of that, because that's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy the product that we put out there. So that's why I think we both are perfect for. The partnership is fantastic, just because we sometimes we think for each other and we don't even realize it. I mean, it's like, what I'm going to say, I know what you're going to say, and we haven't even talked. It's just one of those weird things. So great chemistry is key, but the fact that we're enjoying what we're doing, even though it is a lot of hard work, just know that we enjoy doing this a lot. So
and for those of you that are just tuning in to the podcast, if this is your first episode or one of your early episodes, you might be asking, well, why are we? What's the point of the story? Well, okay, so we have a 100th episode podcast coming up, and these are kind of stories leading up to that 100th episode celebration. So if you have not yet done so, please head over to our website at partscounterguru.com. Find the podcast tab. It's near the top left-ish of the website.
Mm-hmm.
And you will then find, if you click on that tab, it'll take you to all the different podcast platforms. We're on pretty much all of them, whatever you like. Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Now, TuneIn. I mean, we're just on all of them. So
right,
you can find your favorite podcast platform with a link to our show, and you can subscribe to it. And that way you'll make sure you're up to date and ready for the 100th episode when it premieres, which will be in July.
In July, yeah. We don't have the exact dates yet, but we know that it will happen in July, and we'll make sure that we let you know when that's gonna happen. That's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it. I just I hope that during that podcast that we can talk to some people.
I think that's coming. Yeah,
and ask them. Do you change your own oil? What do you think about EVs? Do you like chocolate milk? Or are you a big fan of the Oreo? I don't know.
Sure.
I mean, we can just talk about anything because that's what we do, Keith.
Have you heard of any good conspiracy theories?
Yeah,
UFO
absolutely.
sightings.
Do you believe? Yeah, I mean, are you? Have you seen anything gray, thin, short, big eyes? Floating around.
Have you
out there
been a Cardi B fan since the beginning? I don't know. I'm just I'm just kind of winging it here. All right, so there you go, everybody.
Yeah. So not only that. Jay and Keith stories. Yeah.
You were saying.
I love it. Yeah, but not only that. We might have a surprise guest on an upcoming podcast. And it is in honor of the 100th upcoming podcast. We just might have a family.
I wonder who that could be.
Family member show up on the show, and we'll see. I don't know if I've got his 100% commitment, but I'm working on it. Don't worry, I'm working on it.
We might be able to leverage. Just if I need to call Jerry Maguire and get him out there to seal the deal, let me know. Okay.
Right. Now, my favorite. One of my favorites is we for those of you just now joining the podcast, we have come up with a little segment we like to call Strange Car Facts.
I feel like that's more of a paranormal intro, but
yeah. Well, it's because where I'm getting my information from.
Area51fanclub.com.
yeah. Driverless. Yeah. The headless horseman. Yeah. Well, what we wanted to do is keep it automotive themed. This is the Parts Counter Gurus, things that you might hear across an auto parts counter.
I thought it was a paranormal show. That's what I signed up for. Yeah.
Right. We're actually we can give you. If you need a little psychological help or something like that, we might be able to, cheer you up, or something like that. So,
wait, this isn't enginedisplacementspecs.com?
No, but we can help you find that, though. You just have to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a comment, shoot us an email. Maybe we can help you out there. We'd be glad to. We have plenty of resources. Trust me, we know some people. We know some people, guys. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we didn't. So pick a number, Keith. 1 through 50. We've already done some of these.
Yeah,
so.
I was up at the high end last.
You were on the high end.
I know this because I remember the two numbers that I picked.
Right.
Oddly enough, I can't remember what I had for breakfast today, but I do remember those last two numbers. All right, now I'm in a little bit of a head game with myself. So to prove to you that I remember the last two numbers that I chose, do I pick the two just under it, just to kind of be a little bit of a smart ass, or do I just go to the opposite end of the spectrum?
I'd go to the opposite end of the spectrum just to keep it interesting. Man.
All right,
yeah.
so
I'm pretty sure you know where you're at. So.
I'm gonna go with 11.
11. Ooh, it goes up to 11.
Yeah.
11, that's the Marshall lamp. Yeah, goes up to 11. Anyway, that's for our good friend Rothmeyer, who happens to be
Fender speakers go up to 11 on the. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow. Do you know what this is interesting. I actually thought it would have been another model, but do you know what the most frequently stolen car in the U.S. is?
Ooh. I used to know this. I'm gonna go. Don't tell me. I'm gonna go Honda Civic.
Ooh, that's what I would have said. Because I thought that was the case, because Civics are known for swapping out.
Off. Yeah.
Right. Swapping out, the VTEC platform, and they like to drift those things. But no, actually, Honda Accords.
Okay, but I was in the right family.
Yes. Okay. Very much. And
so, hey, everybody, remember that. You're thinking about buying a car, that's going to impact insurance rates because they have the data on that.
Right, that's right. So
Honda Accord.
We always do Honda Accord. So we always do 2. Give me another number. Pick another number.
21.
I like that. Ooh, this is so relevant. Did you know, Keith? Did you know, Parts Counter Gurus fans, our audience, we love you. Thank you for being part of our audience. Toyota produced in 2014, Toyota
happens
produced
to be the same year of my FJ. Yep.
Okay. They produced a little over 13,000 cars a day. Okay.
Huh.
In 2021, the car manufacturer has reportedly only producing 10 million cars each day. Only 10 million cars.
Now, wait a second. Is this
each year? Excuse me.
Cars?
Each year. Sorry. Cars each year.
Or total automobiles, meaning, trucks and...
It just says cars. It just says cars.
I think they mean passenger vehicles.
So, sorry, I didn't give it to you in the the perspective.
You get another shot.
In 2014,
second
in 2014, it was 13,000 cars a day.
Okay.
Now they're up to 10 million cars each year. We would have to do the math on that. So you want to go and give us some math music? Give us some math music.
Here, hang on here. Let's see. What was the number per day?
13,000 a day. So now I've got it.
All right. Hang on. Let me divide by the number of days with a full moon. Subtract
weekends
the
off.
Year of recycled tires.
Holidays.
Okay.
The year of the monkey.
Charging rate of your typical EV multiplied by. Okay, I got it. Right. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Well, based on the daily number, which was from 2014,
right,
that's getting pretty close to about 5 million.
That's right.
Okay.
So they've doubled that now.
Yeah.
Of cars being produced. Now, they don't specify that it's all vehicles. They just say cars. So let's just assume vehicles.
Yeah, I'm going vehicles. I think cars is
that's a little high for just cars.
Generic term. Yeah.
Don't you think so? Yeah.
So
stay tuned, guys, for an upcoming podcast. We'll get that clarified and be certain on that.
6.5 years later, and they've doubled their output. That's
amazing.
Impressive, man.
That's a footprint. Yep,
yeah,
that's a footprint. What would be interesting to know is how many of those are luxury vehicles, how many of those are sports vehicles. Break it down. We can get that information. We'll get you some facts.
How many of those are FJ Cruisers? That would be 0. Anyway,
that would be 0. That is correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Land Cruisers in 2021. Yeah, that's 0. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here you go.
Well, thanks, Jay.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. I so enjoy that segment, man. I really
fun.
do.
It's just kind of stuff I don't expect, and it kind of catches me off guard, and I have to think on my feet. And,
cool.
anytime I get an opportunity to do some podcast math, it's always fun,
Right. So, do we want to move to the desert? On this, and you want to go ahead and take off with that there? Go ahead.
So just going to give you guys some real quick specs that GM has publicly released on the new Hummer EV. For all you people out there complaining that I had some guy the other day on one of our comments on YouTube. I don't know for sure that it was a guy, but just, in the editorial version, you guys. And he's like, I really need the measurements on these Nissan Frontiers. Well, bro, nobody has those right now. Okay.
Right.
SEMA has an official measuring event coming up in the next 60 days where they're going to have a measuring party on that Nissan Frontier. Okay.
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. So, but for now, the best you're going to get is a guy with a camera at a car show that Nissan happens to be at. I get you a quick little look inside. You'll get
at
your
the
specs.
Speakers.
Yeah, you'll just be patient. Click the bell, hit the subscribe button, and when they're out there, we'll let you know. Now,
that's it.
What we do know is we have some details on the Hummer EV, and this is coming directly from GM. This is their Edition 1, which is their first edition version of the truck. I guess we'd call it a truck, right? They call it a pickup.
Yes, it is. It's a truck. It's classified. Always has been classified as a truck. It's not a pickup, but it's a truck. And
it says
key
pickup.
point.
It says Hummer Edition 1 pickup off-road driving specifications.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got a bed.
That's kind of like calling a crossover. Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the one thing to note here is the year of the specs.
22. 2022.
Right. So, and my point to that is that means that they are committed to being in production, if they're not already in production, like now, like the end of this summer, in order to get that. So just pay attention, some of you EV manufacturers out there of these electric trucks, just pay attention to, and if you're a fan of electric trucks, just pay attention to that. And nobody's keeping score. Nobody cares.
Lordstown.
Nobody really cares who's first, but I just don't think it's going to be Lordstown. Did I just say that again?
Oops. Look, it's just they kind of started talking a big game. I can't not call them out. All right, we'll get to that in a later segment.
Gloves are off now, man. So, yeah.
So,
anyway.
So of this edition, now this is inches. We've got the metric here too. The wheelbase is going to be 135.6 inches, okay? Right. Which is in millimeters, 3,445.
Correct.
Total vehicle length, and this really should be you because you don't want me giving specs out, but total vehicle length is 216.8 inches.
That's
which
correct.
Comes out to being about 5,507 millimeters.
Correct. Good job, bud.
This next one, Jay, always confused me, because I've seen this, in years past, width without mirrors and width with mirrors. Well, does that without really mean without, or does it mean folded in mirrors?
I would say folded in mirrors.
Yeah, because, who's going to ever take the mirrors off, right?
Right. I mean, most of your vehicles come in with, they have collapsible, or they are, since it's an EV, I will guarantee you they will be electronically collapsed.
Yeah. Now, look, I know you guys are like, well, it's just a trailer. Yeah, I know. But you're not going to take the mirrors off to load it on a trailer.
Right. Absolutely. Right? And, of course, there's vehicles out there that have these camper extender mirrors.
Yeah.
Maybe that's to point out, maybe
towing mirrors. Yeah.
Towing mirrors.
Yeah.
Maybe they go out further. Not just folding or anything.
Right.
Maybe they extend out. That could be a feacher they have on them. We don't know yet. We don't have all the...
Without the mirrors or folded in, I guess we'll say 56 points. Wait a second. No, 86.7 inches or 2,201 millimeters with the mirrors folded out, meaning they're in driving, extended, I guess. 93.7 inches, 2,380 millimeters. Now, this next one is where it gets interesting to me. So we've already discussed that they're going to have different modes,
right,
of climbing, and depending on what you're driving on, if you're off-roading.
Depending on whatever terrain mode is what you're saying, basically, right?
So the ground clearance changes based on modes, and they're giving you the actual ground clearance here. So you want to grab these, Jay?
Yeah, so max ground clearance on your standard setting, and this would be just a standard
which I'm assuming is
setting.
Like everyday drive mode.
Everyday driving, right. Yeah. On road, whatever you're doing, you're not doing anything special, which is, it makes sense. 10.1 inches or 257 millimeters. In terrain mode, it goes up to 11.9 inches or 302 millimeters. And then in the available extract mode, now I don't know if I completely believe this clearance or not. That's a significant jump to 15.9 inches. Gosh, that's pretty good, man. 404 millimeters.
That is true overland, getting out there in Moab somewhere. Now,
I mean, boy, they're building this baby to be real, real,
they ain't
man.
Playing, man. They're gonna try to compete, I think, with some of the Bronco crowd. Now, do we have a Las Vegas show cruising on the strip mode where it has like about 35 inches of ground clearance, and we call that compensation mode?
The compensation package, that's an additional $10,000 on top of the 140 you'll already spend. So actually, the retail on that thing was they announced was a little over 100,000, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I'm not gonna, we won't bore you with all of these. We'll put a link to them in the comments. But I will say, approach angles are always important to the overland crowd.
Yes, and that off road, man, is.
Yeah, so the approach angle standard, which is your highway mode, 41.5 inches, terrain mode 44.3, and then your extract mode 49.7. And then your departure angle, this is in degrees, okay?
Right.
31.6, 33.7 for terrain mode, and then your extract mode 38.4.
Right.
And then so here's the other one that I think will matter to the overland crowd. And I'm very curious because this is an EV and it does have a lot of electrical components in it.
Yeah.
Water fording depth is 26 inches, so just over 2 feet of water you can ford through. In terrain mode, 28 inches, and in extract mode, 32 inches.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I bet you, like you said, with the compensation package, you'll never get wet.
Right.
So
yeah, so there you go. Everybody, check the description for details. If you're watching this on the YouTube side, and while you're doing it, click the bell, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, share it, please, and thank you. See you next time.
That's it. Yeah, there you go. Wow. We just talked about this. I just had to rub it a little bit, rub the salt in the wound a little bit, but I cannot help myself. Let's talk a little Lordstown again.
All right. So, for those of you not familiar, and this has been a common theme on the show, we've talked about these guys quite a bit. Electric pickup truck manufacturer. It's a startup out of Ohio, Lordstown. Their first model is called the Endurance. It's a truck. They are touting that they will be the first commercial EV truck to market.
Right. Right.
I don't know, what that actually means, but I know what a commercial vehicle is, but I don't know what it means to them, right? Like, how is that different? So, I got to be careful here. Okay, so there's been a lot of scrutiny with Lordstown. Some of the things that we have talked about on this show recently was a lawsuit between Karma Automotive Group and Lordstown over the theft, allegedly, of trade secrets in terms of development of certain components in the vehicle. So Lordstown hired away some Karma employees, basically took their technology and stole it, or so Karma claims, right?
Right.
So there's a lawsuit going on for that right now. There's a lot of lawsuits going on right now with Lordstown over failed. Let's see. Heavy fire from investors. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Right. Yeah, they took a lot of crap from their investors, period, because for lack of transparency with what's going on to begin with. That's a big deal.
So the investors are claiming they were misled.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you have all of these people going after Lordstown, suing them, such as Karma, who claims that they basically were poaching employees away. They were stealing intellectual property to benefit Lordstown itself. So what happened during this whole process, man, was all of a sudden the stock just started dropping way down. And it dropped to the lowest it had been, an all-time low.
And there was a contributor to that, and it was a short sell firm called Hindenburg Research, who also did a story on Nikola prior to this, and they released that in March, and it talked about basically Lordstown claiming to have all these pre-orders and letters of intent, and it really wasn't as solidified as Lordstown was making it out to be, meaning some of these people had just received emails and hadn't signed anything or were unaware that they had applied for an order. Anyway, so whether that's all true or not, Lordstown has been put into a position where they kind of have to defend themselves, or they're gonna be in similar situations as Nikola. So this is what I would like to call the nuh-uh part of the show. So they have Lordstown has announced that they're going to host 3 media days.
Right.
June 21st, the 22nd, and 23rd. Okay.
Right.
And there among the things here, do you have that info, or do you want me to keep rolling?
No, keep rolling.
So they're going to let people take test drives. They're going to give you tours of the facility. They're going to let you talk with the executive team there that works at the facility. They're going to do presentations and so on. So it's going to be a press event. It's going to be a media event. Now, the interesting thing to me is, are they going to let you film? Okay, if this thing hasn't been released yet, are they going to let the media in there taking pictures and video to release that for public consumption?
Hard to say. They're saying it's for their stakeholders. They want to give them the confidence that they're on target with what they have said. The media has been in their plant before recently to discuss some of the accusations that have surfaced, and to get information from them that they're still on track to get these vehicles out. Again, we don't have any proof that they're close to production. We've seen some, recently some beta versions have been spotted. They've been out, but that's all I hear. Now, you got to understand, if your stock drops, right, so far down, to get that stock back up and regain faith, you've got to do something like this. And I think it's really a good move on their behalf, but who is actually going to have access to the information that comes from this? Like you just said, will there be photos of the vehicle? Typically, you don't see that. You don't let the cat out of the bag before it's really time. So what this has done, though, it has driven their stock up substantially since that last news broke, just to show you how volatile that is, and that can be for stakeholders or a company like this that is driven by stakeholders. You go from the lowest of lows to up 20% within 2 weeks. That's pretty darn good. And all of that hinges on, can Lordstown now come through for their stakeholders with this at this event to show them and to prove to them that they are acting in good faith on their behalf with their investment to put this vehicle out on time as they say they are.
Right. And look, like you said, investors have responded favorably to this news. It's interesting to watch all this. I think in our future, in years to come, we will be able to look back and we will have learned a lot from, the major changes in the automotive industry and what it takes to make those changes. We talk a lot about peer pressure driving the automotive industry. Well, all these manufacturers, basically, Tesla was the driving force, and they're all reacting. Ford with their EVs. I mean, everyone. I mean, even Lamborghini's getting into the game now, and they announced their plans for electrification. So,
right.
I think that these startups are kind of affecting change in the automotive industry because of their EV impact. So we'll see.
It is, and it's peer pressure. You've been talking about that, Keith. Yeah. The peer pressure in the industry is huge to get these automakers on board with these electric vehicles.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, people. It's more real now than ever before. And I think that we are starting to see a bit of a shift. And I mean, I'm talking a huge shift in a short amount of time between the 2017, 2018 to now, and then what we're going to see in production by 2025. All right.
Yeah.
Right now, you have Rivian, Ford, GM, the three, and Lordstown, the four big players in the EV pickup truck market. So, who's going to win that race?
Well,
we're taking wagers on this side.
Don't forget the Cybertruck, although it's kind of a different animal,
Yeah, it is, but we haven't really heard that much about it.
Can't discount Tesla, though. Dude, he's busy making rockets and putting internet satellites in space,
and might I add, successfully putting rockets up there
and hosting Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live. Yes, this guy is. Come on, Elon, dude.
If you want more information on Lordstown, go back and check out our channel. We've covered them ad nauseum. There's more to come. Click the bell, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, check it out. Over on the YouTube side, it's youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Jay, is that right?
That is, man, you're right on it. Yes.
And then, of course, our website, partscounterguru.com, and you can hit the podcast from there, unless you're listening to it right now, in which case, thank you. So, yeah, more to come on this, everybody. Stay tuned.
Right on. All right, so while we are on the subject of electric vehicles, we had mentioned some players out there in the automotive world not really doing anything in it. And we kind of picked on Toyota a little bit about where you been. You're borrowing platforms from Subaru, what are you doing, Toyota? And then now Subaru has just announced, Keith, did you know this? They have just announced, and it teased its first electric car called, name the Solterra EV. How about that?
Yeah, so, you kind of have to, at this point, again, peer pressure being what it is in the automotive industry, you have to cast your hat in the ring. If you don't, you're almost considered, like you said, Jay, there's going to be such a change and a shift from the way cars were made in 2018 to the way they're going to be made in 2025.
Right.
You're going to lose a lot of credibility and legitimacy as a major player. And it's going to affect your sales. Whether or not you want to buy one of these things or not, you will be viewed as a dinosaur if you don't offer something. So, plus, Subaru has this kind of reputation for their environmental aspect, that they make a huge effort to stay environmentally conscious.
Right.
So, so they've entered the game. Like Jay said, it's going to be called the Solterra EV. It is coming to the United States, Canada, Europe, and Japan. It will be apparently a 2022 model year, so it's not that far off. It's been in the works for a while. They've just kept it under wraps.
Right, but what I found interesting is, and this is something that we talked about, shared platforms, right? So we have the Toyota 86. That's just basically the Subaru, right? Subaru BRZ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, people scratch their heads, why is Toyota not building their own? You have platforms that are shared for the sole purpose of sharing technology and information to help one get along. And Toyota has, partnered with Subaru for a while now. But it turns out that this particular vehicle, the Solterra, is going to be built on on the shared platform, the TNGA or the E-Tenga, which I trademarked that, everybody. That's mine, E-Tenga.
I love it.
But it's Toyota's all-electric total global platform for electric vehicles. And we recently talked about the BZ4X. Basically, this is probably going to be Subaru's version of the BZ4X. Mm-hmm. That's probably what this is going to be. And, they didn't release much information about it. But what we hear, based on what we did see, the images, it looks to be a little smaller than most of their SUVs, but on similar, like if you looked at the silhouette of it, it's kind of similar to some of their, what would you say, their Outbacks?
Yeah,
maybe?
it's a crossover style, and
right.
it's looks like a four-door with a hatch.
In true Subaru form. Here's what I expect from it, because Subaru they don't really come out and just blow you away with design. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, they seem to be a bit dated to me, and I don't expect that they will veer away from that. They seem to concentrate more on the vehicle reliability, the functionality of the vehicle, rather than how pretty do I look. Okay?
And another interesting parallel, Toyota, who there is a partnership there, and there has been for years. Very cautious, very measured approach to the electrification arena, entering that sort of world of EVs.
Right.
We've talked about this on our program many times, how Toyota was not the leader in that arena, but we said, well, it maybe isn't because they don't have their act together. It may be the opposite of that. It may be they have their act together and they are hedging their bet on the next generation.
Yeah,
which
they're
is
holding
less. It relies less on the volatile battery platform like these first-generation lithiums.
Right. And we've heard several CEOs in the industry, whether they are automotive component suppliers or CEOs of automotive manufacturers, basically say, no, we're not going there now because we're not buying into that technology just yet as a fully, carbon neutral product. But I also feel too, like you just said, it makes sense for someone to step back and wait for that technology to grow a little bit further. And how technology grows exponentially in this day and time, which I think Keith and I have also said that we believe that we are in a new industrial age at this moment, and it revolves around the electric vehicle, the electrification of vehicles. That if you act too quickly and get in there and start, putting all your money on one piece of technology, before you know it, that piece of technology is obsolete before it even gets to the market because somebody has come up with a better plan. So Toyota can fill the gap, Subaru can fill that gap of vehicles until something comes along that's more appealing to their platform and probably more cost effective for them, rather than being the developer of a specific technology. They're just going to use a technology. That happens. That happens with the chips that we are having shortages on right now.
And just think about this. I mean, just from the automotive perspective, I mean, if you go back to, for example, the Ford Model T, which, let's see, what year did that premiere?
Oh, God, that was like
1908. 1908.
Okay. I was thinking it was somewhere
around there. I remember talking with my grandmother about stories of, who had cars and what those cars looked like, and then when did she get her first car, or her family get their first car, and what was it like? So my point is this. The amount of change between that Model T and then what was in production 15 years later, you're probably going to see that same amount of change in the Generation 1 EVs that companies like Ford and GM and Subaru are releasing. Mm-hmm. And then 5 to 7 years from now, the next generation.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be significant.
It will be. And that half that battle is the charging infrastructure. Once they crack that nut, the charging infrastructure, then they can focus on, range. Then range, where they're already focused on range. But my point is that more and more people, the more electric vehicles you have on the road, the more capital these manufacturers have to work with to go and develop new types of charging capabilities or types of batteries, solid state. We've talked about that on prior podcasts. This is you have to go there, but it has to start somewhere. And I think that the bigger picture is the infrastructure of charging. And once we crack that nut, then I think it really blows up, man.
Yeah.
It goes nuts, haywire.
Yeah. My personal feeling on this is that hybrids are going to be the wave of the future. I know that's old technology from a jargon. Hybrid vehicles came out years ago, decades ago. But my point is, if you think about what like Chuck Lynch would tell us from a military application, where you always have to have a vehicle that has multiple fuel options.
Correct. Yes.
That relying just on batteries and a charging network, although it may be great most of the time, if you don't force yourself to basically be a captive audience to that, if you have a way to, I'm in the middle of Yellowstone National Park and there isn't a charging station. Oh, but I can run on hydrogen for the next 100 miles or whatever.
Right.
You're fine. Right. Like I really do think that's where the big win happens in terms of the next turning point.
Yeah, I agree with that. And back to, hybrid vehicles that allow you to do that get you, that's even better. Look at what Nissan has been working on. A really thermal efficient engine.
Right. There you go.
And the concentration of that, and the engine not specifically used to drive as a form of propulsion for the vehicle, but basically to recharge those batteries. And there's good technology out there that I believe you're correct that you'll see, an internal combustion engine being used more frequently than not in that manner until we get there. I think so. It's a stepping stone. Each form of technology, as it grows and it gets better, we said it. The EVs, as we know right now, in 10 years, they're going to be completely different than what we know now. Completely different. So, and how are they going to find out about it, Keith? When that stuff happens.
Yeah, if you want to be in the know, a couple ways you can do that, because although we do talk about a lot of things on this show, we do heavily focus on automotive related articles, news releases.
Yeah.
You can do a couple things. You can go to our website, partscounterguru.com. Check out the podcast tab there at the top leftish area. Click on that. You find links to all your favorite podcast platforms. You can find our show there. Make sure you do that before our 100th podcast episode comes up, which is right around the corner. We've only got a few to go. You can also go over, if you are not watching this video on YouTube, you can go over to YouTube right now, youtube.com/partscountergurus. And is it / or backslash? It's /.
It's /. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You will see our little welcome video there, and you can hit the subscribe button and ring the bell and get notified that way. If you like social media, we put stuff out there frequently. Let's see, facebook.com /partscountergurus. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Man,
this is so weird, man. I feel like I'm driving a UFO. Instagram.com /thepartscountergurus and Twitter. It's twitter.com. Twitter, our hashtag is @thecountershow. All one word.
That's it, man.
No spaces.
Great job, dude. See? It's a one-man show,
It's only taken me 2 years, but I finally got it down. I mean, I'm not even sure I got it down. I just happened to get it right this time.
Before you know it, man, we'll be on some sort of commercial between skits on Saturday Night Live selling, some
Colon
sort of like Sledge-O-Matic or something,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be us. The Parts Counter Gurus, sponsored by Sledge-O-Matic.
Yeah. There you go. I'd be all right with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So great show, man. A lot of interesting information out there to talk about over the Parts Counter today, and we really enjoyed it. Keith, thank you for keeping our audience well informed.
I'm just here to push buttons, man. Like I always say.
I enjoy it, man. I stay tuned, folks, man. It just gets better. It's only going to get better from here. So.
That I am sure of.
Can you?
All right.
Yeah, take us out.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. So, for my partner Jay over there, I'm Keith. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, listening, telling a friend, all that good stuff. Words of wisdom from this episode: when one door closes and another one opens, you're probably in prison. See y'all next time.
Take care.